So today I'm in my listening guest room, slash, my Macintosh stereo, vintage stereo, and it's another home theater, honestly. And this is sort of like a guest room as well. Got a Murphy bed up there. But the reason why I'm in here is in this video, I'm gonna concentrate on the Achilles heel of super tower speakers. When I mean super tower speakers, I mean speakers with integrated subwoofers. There aren't a lot of companies that are doing this right now. GoldenEar and Definitive are the two. Well, I've been having a lot of trouble with these speakers pretty recently. This is why I thought I'd just make a whole video about these kinds of speakers, because one of my GoldenEars, in fact my left GoldenEar's amp died. I'm going to try to get the amplifier out of here because I already ordered it from GoldenEar. It's in this box, and as always, the customer service experience is amazing, but I'll get into that a little later. In this video, I want to talk more about how do you get the amp out. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this little plastic piece off, and I'm going to probably just set my phone on a tripod here. Again, I don't expect this video to get views. I'm not doing it for the views. None of these videos where I repair stuff speakers, very obscure speakers, get a lot of views, but might help somebody out. That's why I'm doing it. But let's check this out. Here, so this comes out pretty easily. Should just pop off like so. And then you have this little clip that pinches the sock together. And then you undo the little cord thing, loosen it, bring this down. And there's a couple of areas that need to be removed. So if you look close here, there's a metal plate. I don't know if it's metal, might be the same material as the speaker itself, but that needs to come out. I think there's something in there. So this is a two-piece thing, at least in this speaker, and most Definitives that I've done. Again, pretty cool speaker. I don't really look at these very often. Again, 4.5 inch mid-range drivers, tweeter, and obviously we got the racetrack 2 subs there with and there we got passive radiators down there. So I need to get this out, and the amps in the back, which I'm gonna actually pull the speaker out a little. All right, so looks like Phillips. They come out pretty easily there. Do this with one hand here and holding the camera. Looks like there's 6 screws. Pretty simple. All right, let me take these guys out here. The screws are slightly longer on this side, on the actual amp, so you won't be able to mix them up, but I'm gonna put them separately, of course. GoldenEar actually did send me instructions, but I'm going to just wing it. I would recommend reading the instructions if I were you, but I've done this a few times at this point, and it is what it is. I have to admit I'll probably get into this a little later in the video, but the customer service at GoldenEar is the best, really. I mean, as I talked about earlier in the video, am I missing something here? Oh, there's one left. I called up my other speaker, my Definitive technology speaker, and honestly, I've been getting a lot of, people have kind of reached out and said, hey, because I posted a couple of videos about Definitive technology amplifiers dying and how to repair them and stuff, and I missed another one. A lot of screws. And people have asked me, where did I get it? And I'm like, well, I bought it from Definitive. That's where I would go. And So yeah, I don't know. So this appears to be like, I don't know if this is just the crossover. I think the amp is actually the little white, the other panel up here. Huh, okay. I think I gotta just remove a couple of clips. Just so you know, the little LED light wasn't going on. That was an indication that the amp was bad, or something in this amp was bad, which is a 2-piece amp. You know, this is just, looks like the amp is like over here, looks like, which I'm gonna have to figure out how to get out. Well, I guess for now, I'm gonna just see how to remove. I think there's just a clip down here. Yeah, looks like there's one clip. It's a little stubborn. Yeah, getting these speaker terminals was a pain. Needle nose wires had to come to the rescue. And I think I gotta cut this little zip tie. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there. That is giving me a lot more room. So that frees up that. The wires are really stuck in there. I don't know if I can show you that, but they're like tied to something. I think there's little, yeah, I think I finally got it out. So that was not what I would call easy, but you know, I got it out. Okay, well, let's try to get it back in. So all you should be left with is are the speaker terminal cables. Now I need to route the cables that were attached to the new like connector section up to the top area. And may not be able to show you that, but I'll report back when it's done. So I routed them up. Now I gotta connect the speaker terminal cables, which are still here, and pretty simple, red with red and white with black. And there we go, I'll show it to you. Let's go ahead and do that. There's the black connector. Make sure you got a good connection there. Here's the red, which was a huge pain in the ass to get out. Now I gotta slide this back on here. All right, so, and I'm gonna make sure that everything looks okay. All right, so this appears to be okay. I'm not gonna screw it in just yet. I'm gonna make sure it's all working good. I'm gonna turn my attention to here and see about prying this guy out. Okay, something's coming out here. You just gotta give it a little bit of force there. And this thing might have capacitors in it and stuff, so I wanna be extra careful. Huh, okay. Got some, yeah, it does have some caps. You want to be extra careful with this kind of stuff because it can get shot. Even though this thing's been unplugged for, I'm gonna say, almost a week at this point. They may not be fully discharged, or so I have to be careful with this. So this looks like this is the amp. You can see into the speaker a bit. You can see the back of the driver. Let me pull this out a little more. All right, so I'm gonna be very careful here. There's one clip, another clip. These clips appear to be all different sizes, so. Right by a cap, okay. This is the amp itself. Okay, so I'm gonna get the replacement amp and just plug it all back in. And maybe this other stuff will come out now. I want to show you you see that? Never seen that like before. It's like a little grid, which is kind of interesting. I don't know if and there's like a little grid, and that's Below that is where the passive radiators are, I believe. Just never, pretty interesting. I don't know what it does, but pretty cool. We got the, so this is the, I guess the replacement connector, where all the connections go. And let me get the amp section out of here. And you can get, this is the brand new amp. I'll just plug it in, I guess. Try my best to show you whatever I can show you. From what I've learned, this is the power one. This connects these are actually going to the subs. And I don't know what these do. This might have to do with the LFE cable or something, or I don't know. But let's connect everything. I think this one goes here. So I'm just sort of matching the pin count. So this one has 4 pins, so I'm putting that one there. So the little one goes to this little connector here. It's a little, God, I don't know, it's such a flimsy little connector. I'll try to, there. I think that's how it goes. There it slides in, and the last one is the power, which is the biggest one. And I think it goes right in the, goes kind of in the middle, or no, goes at the bottom by the caps. I gotta really tug on it. Let's see. So it goes here. Okay. All right, so it's all connected. I'm gonna just plug it all in and make sure it works now. Well, little light's blinking. That's a good sign. I'm gonna plug it in and make sure that I get sound. You know, obviously you want to screw this in. There's not gonna be a good seal around, you know, for acoustics and stuff, but just for testing it for a second at a very low volume, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna turn the balance over to the left speaker. Well, I just tested the speaker. It sounds great. The bass is back, the amp is working, and I'm just gonna double check the wires one more time and just screw everything back the way I took it out again, and then I'll show you the result. So this is the next day, and it was a little harder than I expected, to be honest. That's why I didn't film a lot of this stuff, because I had to troubleshoot. So basically, when you order a new amp from GoldenEar, you pay them the $200 or whatever, they're gonna send you an amp section and like this backplate section with the speaker terminals and the LFE input, all that stuff, the volume knob, you know, the gain knob, power socket. And turns out the only thing that was bad was the amp in mine. But this is the one they sent me. So I actually replaced everything. I like put everything brand new. And when I did, the speaker just wasn't sounding right. It was like lacking bass and clarity. It just wasn't good. And so I tried putting the old amp back on and keeping this, the new one of the back plates, because this was actually harder to route the cables up to the amp section. And I just ended up, so it turned out my old amp was bad. This is the old amp. And my back plate, when I put my original back plate on with the speaker connections and stuff, it sounded like perfectly. And I obviously did a lot of troubleshooting. I thought there was a problem with my amp, honestly. So I actually switched the speaker cables out and I put the I ran the right cable to the left speaker and vice versa, and tried to see what was going on. And honestly, the problem lied with this. Obviously, I had to replace I put the brand new amp in, and then I kept the original backplate, and works good now. So speakers are fixed. The speaker's fixed, really stoked. I don't know how helpful that was because I didn't get everything, but I think you kind of get the gist of it. But yeah, it can be a pain to run the cables from the bottom section to the little amp section that's actually right here. That's the hardest part, but once you get there, it's just plug and play kind of. So it's pretty simple. I mean, overall, I'm pretty happy. it was relatively, it's a little easier to do definitive technology amps because they're all like integrated into one module. I think the fact that they kind of separated out and put it like the amp section up here because there's not a lot of room back there. They had there isn't enough room with the passive radiators, which are right behind this plate. So I imagine that's why they had to do this like separated like amp section, which is, you know, I understand. But anyway, that's all I got. Anyway, if you have any questions, let me know. So I have a couple of final thoughts and a couple of tips, related to my GoldenEar Triton 2 like amp repair. Number one, don't let this dissuade you from buying one of these speakers. They're simply fantastic speakers, and they're incredibly easy to drive because they do have built-in amplification. That's kind of part of the whole, super tower thing. You can drive them basically with pretty much any, amplifier or receiver. So it's like a pro and a con. I would say it's more of a pro because they're so easy to drive because, the bass is taken care of by an onboard amp that could potentially go bad, which it did in my case, but it wasn't such a big deal. As far as tips related to the amp replacement, number one, don't even bother with the back plate. The black plate where all the connections are at the bottom of this back bottom of the speaker. Concentrate on the amp module. I wish I would have done this. It would have saved me a lot of time and headaches. I just assumed I had to replace everything. That's because I was ignorant and didn't know any better. It's most likely that your amp module, which is on the side of the speaker, the little square looking panel, that's probably what went bad. So start there. It's a lot easier to just swap that out than to have to route all the cables out from the amplifier to the bottom. It's a huge pain in the ass. Try not to do that. If that doesn't work, then obviously you might have to try swapping out the bottom part as well. Start on the amp module. I wish I'd have done that. It would have saved a lot of time and a lot of headaches because my panel plate was just fine. There was nothing wrong with it, and actually using the one they sent me made it sound worse. I need to state this. This didn't cost me any money. It just cost me time. I paid $200 to get the parts. I installed the parts. When I sent them back, I got refunded my money. So it basically didn't cost me any money to do this repair. I want to restate this again. GoldenEar is some of the best customer service I've ever dealt with. I recently called Definitive because I thought I had a problem with one of my super towers in the theater. I thought it sounded like an extreme ground loop, and I thought the amp had gone bad as well. So I called and they said that it would cost $300 to have it repaired, and I had to do all these tests. I had to check the ohms of the subwoofer, and using a multimeter, and to check, do like a push test on the subwoofer itself. They actually sent me all these instructions, and I tried to explain to the gentleman on the phone that there was nothing wrong with the speaker, with the sub potentially, because it was working just fine. It just sounded like the amp had a really bad ground loop. It was popping, extreme hums. It was really loud, like extremely loud. Like I had to unplug the amp. I was going to talk about that speaker as well in this video, but turns out I unplugged it for a whole month and I plug it back in, trying to make a video about it, and it worked fine. So who knows? I mean, I don't know. It just sort of fixed itself, and now it's working just fine. So that was like a close call that turned out to be okay. I don't know if it's going to fail in the future. It may. And it's good to know that Definitive has the option to fix the amp for $300, because I've heard a lot of rumors, or they've had a lot of comments from people, because I posted videos about like my old center channel speaker that I replaced the amp on, and an old subwoofer, and they keep saying that they're not making the amps anymore. So you can't just buy a new amp. So it looks like Definitive must have gotten a lot of complaints, and now they're at least offering this program to repair your amp for $300. Again, that goes into the whole like Achilles heel of these super towers, is the fact that they have these built-in amps that tend to go bad, because the speakers are probably fine in them. It's just these amps that theoretically can go bad and may lower the life expectancy of a perfectly good speaker. But thankfully mine are okay for now, and I'll just keep monitoring. It's monitoring my Definitive Technology tower here on the left. It's actually my left speaker. It's a coincidence that they're both left speakers. But yeah, that's basically my thoughts. GoldenEar is fantastic. I can't recommend them enough. I can't recommend the speakers enough. I know they're quite pricey now, but They are really, really good, and they're some of the best speakers I've ever heard in my life. So I'm really happy to have my GoldenEar Triton 2s back, you know, working again. And I hope this video helps somebody out. If you have any questions about the speakers themselves or anything in my setup, leave a comment. And really helps a lot if you can like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.